All right, good morning, guys. This should be, I guess, lesson number 2 in this whole little video segment I'm doing while I'm away. You guys should have started off with your do now. In your own words, explain how nonconformity can cause stress on relationships, such as those with family and/or friends. So, I'm sure you guys come up with a variety of examples. A couple that I can come up with. If you think of, if a certain family or group of friends has a way of doing things, remember, nonconformity is essentially going against the grain, not going with the normal thing to do. So, for whatever reason, it's the normal thing in my house to take off your shoes when you come in the house, and I do not do that. I am practicing nonconformity. I am not conforming to the standard or the expectation. And so I might be seen as, oh, no, it's a bad thing to do, take your shoes off. Or, ugh, that person must be weird or gross or something. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Or if you think maybe out in a social circle, like, oh, that person is, they're going out to the movie before they go to eat. Nobody does that. You're supposed to eat before you go to the movie. Or, that's kind of a silly example, but you guys kind of get the point. And obviously some have more severe consequences than others, and I'm sure you guys can figure out why and understand everything that goes into that. So, lesson for the day, not too much. It's going to be half notes and then half a partner activity after I get done speaking here. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So to kind of go along with yesterday's conversation about norms, conformity, and all that, we're going to jump into something I think everybody is at least semi-familiar with. A word called stereotypes. So I'll write down the definition and we'll explain. Stereotypes are a fixed, meaning they don't really change, overgeneralized, make sure I spell it correctly, belief about a particular group or class of people. So a fixed, overgeneralized belief about a particular group or class of people. So once again, a fixed, meaning it doesn't really change, and then overgeneralized. If I overgeneralize, that means that it's kind of like I'm assuming, oh, everybody fits into this mold. It's this belief, or every member of this group is this way, or every member of this group does this. And these groups can range from everything from specific groups like, oh, I have this club or this group at school I'm part of, or just a group, people that are over 6 feet tall, men, women, black, white, whatever, all these different groups, all men do this, all women do this, or what have you. And so just essentially assuming and just, if I'm stereotyping you, I'm saying you fit into this, and that's where I stop it. I don't really think of you much beyond your stereotype. So, go ahead and pause for just a second. Quick video to show to kind of get the point across and to keep us going. All right, next up, we have the term prejudice. Once again, hopefully you guys are at least semi-familiar with this term from previous classes. Prejudice is an unjustified negative attitude toward an individual based on the individual's membership, terrible beat, in a group. I get those two mixed up. All right, so prejudice. An unjustified negative attitude towards an individual based on the individual's membership in a group. And I kind of put parentheses there, cannot be easily gotten rid of. So let's kind of break this down for a second. An unjustified negative attitude. Unjustified meaning there's no real cause behind it. There's no real evidence to say, oh, this is why I feel this way. Oh, here's an exact example of why I think this or why I have this attitude. And usually it's negative. I mean, oh, this is, I have a negative attitude or I have a bad attitude towards him because he's a member of this group. And I underline attitude for a certain reason, because the next term we're going to cover in just a minute, prejudice essentially stops at attitude. When it becomes actions, the way we act, the way we talk to people, the way we interact with people, that becomes something different. And so cannot be easily gotten rid of. So the whole purpose behind this is it's a mindset, it's an attitude. It's really hard to change somebody's mind. It's really easy to change their actions. If I want to change somebody's actions, I can physically put hands on them. I can hold them down. I can restrain them. I can do pretty much whatever I want to them physically. But it's much, much harder to change somebody's attitude, to change somebody's mind, the way they think, their mentality, especially if it's being reinforced, their entire lives, whether it be family, friends, constantly beating this idea or this mentality into their head. And as years go by, the older they get, the more reinforced it becomes, and it becomes much, much harder to change that person's attitude. So, next term, I'm sure you guys are also very familiar with. The term is discrimination. And this is where the actions come in. So, quite similar, an unjustified, negative, or harmful action, we'll underline action, toward a member of a group simply because the person belongs to that group. And just for your benefit, I'll put this in parentheses as well. How it's easier to prevent and take action against. So like I said, prejudice is a mindset, it's a mentality, it's an attitude. Discrimination is an action. You need to make sure you understand the distinction between the two. So, unjustified, negative, or harmful even actions. We add the word harmful in there because when you add action and it's physical movement and whatnot, you can harm somebody. So it's not just a negative attitude, you are actually negatively impacting them physically now. You are physically affecting this person now. And I suppose the argument could be made that, over time, if I experience prejudice, this, that, and the other over a long period of time, it can cause physical issues, stress, high blood pressure, things like that. But that's maybe for a different time. So, negative or harmful action towards a member of a group simply because the person belongs to that group. So, definitions are almost identical except for the words attitude and action, and then, of course, the word harmful. So, one's very hard to get rid of. It's almost impossible at times. Other one is, even though it's still difficult, it's much, much easier to get rid of than prejudice. So I'll step aside for just a second and give you a chance to write down the rest of the notes. All right, so second part of this, after you guys get your notes complete, you guys will be working with one other partner. One partner, not two, not three, one other partner. And yeah, if there's not a number, fine. Do one group of three, but no more. So, first off, find and make sure you sit next to your partner. You guys got to kind of interact and be on the same page. So you and your partner are going to come up with a list of common stereotypes for different categories of people. Let me preface everything by saying, yes, you're doing it on your own paper. You're not having to combine paper. So even if you have the exact same stuff written down, make sure you have your own paper to turn in for credit. So a list of common stereotypes for a number of different categories. So when I say categories, age categories, sex, race, nationality, different categories of people. And keep it kind of broad just so it's easier to do. So what are some stereotypes associated with a person's age? You know, some people say, oh, elderly people are, you know, they're not that good at drivers. Or men are, you know, terrible organizers. They're terrible multitaskers. You know, things like that. So choose about, let's say 4. I think 4 is a good number. 4 different categories, and then let's say 4 or 5 stereotypes each. And then write it down with your partner, and then discuss and write down whether you believe any of these stereotypes have any basis in reality, and explain why or why not. So after you write them down, you start trying to figure out, okay, are these just people just blowing smoke? Are they saying stuff? Or is there some actual truth to some of these stereotypes? And these, yes, this is kind of your opinion based on what you know, what you've experienced. So once again, list of categories, a list of stereotypes associated with those categories, and whether or not any of those stereotypes have any basis in reality. Okay, is there any truth to any of them? Why or why not? All right, so, and as always, if you guys have any questions about today's lesson or any other lessons throughout, go ahead and shoot me an email. I'll get back to you guys as soon as I possibly can. So, nothing else. Get to work, and I'll see you guys for tomorrow's lesson.